Hey guys, Lawrence here for Nightbringer Fitness. Today I'm going to go over the topic of goal setting within calisthenics. Not really going to be going through any workout stuff or demo specifically in my kind of plain clothes, still coming to you from the office here underneath the pull-up bar. But there are a few things I think it would be pretty cool to discuss in terms of what I think it would be good to set goal-wise for calisthenics. And really, I think the ultimate question is just how to decide, and here is why. So I guess the cool thing and also the problem with calisthenics, if you really want to call it a problem, but maybe the paradox, or so to speak, is that if you take a sport like powerlifting, the goals are decided for you. Lift the most amount of total weight across the three big exercises, right? The deadlift, the squat, and the bench press. Same if you do Olympic lifting, it's dictated for you. Archery is dictated for you. 100-meter sprint, you get the idea, right? It's very linear and straightforward in terms of how do you define success within that sport. In calisthenics, it's not quite the same because we have different categories, and also the main thing that we value across all sports really is innovation, and I'll get a bit more onto that in just a second. So with calisthenics, when you started, there isn't one overall goal as in take powerlifting, how much you're going to squat, bench and deadlift. It's kind of like, well, what would you most like to achieve? What most entices you when you turn up to your own training ground, whether that's the park, your home equipment, the gym? What is it that really gets you going? And what have you seen on YouTube maybe, or down the park, or seen another peer do that really fires you up? There's no one specific thing. Is it you'd love to be able to do a muscle up or 10 muscle ups? You'd love to be able to do 50 pull-ups. You want to be able to do the planche or a one-arm chin-up, a human flag, any combination of these things. Do you want to get more into freestyle and do the kind of flips and spins and the re-grabs and all that type of stuff? Do you want to purely do static training and get kind of the beast level holds, right, of like, fingertip holds on planche and all these amazing things that people are doing? And because there's no one particular thing that defines success within our overreaching sport of calisthenics, this is where it can be tricky to really define what you actually want to do. Especially as, look, I'm really guilty of sitting on Instagram and seeing these people pull off some utterly amazing things and just thinking, Jesus Christ, I want to not even like I want to be able to do that because I do, but like, I just want to train for that and see what it feels like and kind of get over some of the mental barriers, like maybe on the parallettes or handstanding, the taller P-bars, or handstanding on like a pull-up bar, right, doing a muscle up and then pressing up to a handstand. How cool would that be? And I can find myself, and I know I'm not the only one with this problem, maybe you have it too, of kind of drifting from goal to goal. Cool, having the same goals over time, roughly to a certain degree, but kind of in those intermittent weeks and months as I get stronger and work towards it, kind of being distracted, particularly as the seasons change and maybe when it gets to winter. I don't want to be standing around with 3 to 5 minute rest times and that type of thing. I want to be keeping warmer, maybe want to do some higher volume work. And here's where you kind of really have to decide what most entices you and have the discipline. I'm not even sure if discipline is the right word, but have the structured focus to really stick to those particular things. And yes, you can kind of go off side to side, but if you can look yourself in the eye and say, is this moving me towards where I want to be ultimately in my own training? I think that's what's important. And as a little caveat from that, there's what you feel is important, what is kind of globally important in terms of keeping fairly sharp on the basics and keeping your pull-up numbers up and your push-up numbers. I mean, if I'm totally honest, I can't really remember the last time I trained push-ups in a serious manner and not as a kind of finisher to the end of a set for weighted dips and that type of thing. And I'm fairly happy with that, but we should all keep our basis up. But I think that I'm digressing here. The point I'm trying to make is, because there's no one specific thing, it doesn't necessarily mean one specific thing that really defines success within our sport. It's kind of up to you to really decide what that is and not be pulled aside by either other people's expectations or certain stuff that you just find really interesting because it's new and exciting, right? When you go on YouTube and see this new particular thing and you feel like you really want to do it, grab onto the bar, start doing it, but then it's kind of like, it feels good in the moment but doesn't really fire you up, if that makes sense. So that's what I'd encourage you to do. Train what maybe even fires you up isn't the right word, but what gives you a sense of meaning and purpose. And here's where I want to get onto innovation. So in calisthenics, in all sports definitely, we really value innovation, but in calisthenics specifically because it's so open-ended. For example, with Roger Bannister's 4-minute mile and Eliud Kipchoge's sub 2-hour marathon, in those sports, in running, right, the innovation is going to be very, very straightforward and linear. People shaving split seconds off the world record times, you know, over a period of years until someone breaks a big, straightforward numerical barrier like the 4-minute mile, the sub 2-hour marathon, and Eddie Hall being the first person to deadlift 500 kilos. Okay, and it's going to be very straightforward in terms of the innovation of people just adding small increments of weight until we get to the big, nice round number that we can kind of all globally be pleased with, right? In calisthenics and the reps and sets world is kind of like that, where we have some awesome stuff from Zef Sakavelli over the last 10 years from the Barbarians, being like the pioneer of the God set, Lee Wade Turner's ultimate sets, Max True just doing something insane stuff on the bar, and I think being the first to do 100 muscle ups without leaving the bar, which is just, you know, on another level, right? And it's innovation that we really, really value. And then there's different types of innovation, which is like those are global ones, and then there's more personal ones that kind of might be specific to your own park that you really see. And you kind of see this in parkour quite a bit, which is really cool. People have these like little nemesis type of jumps and movements that they really want to do a particular spot, a particular training spot that they would really want to go for. And to see people get fired up and kind of obsess about these small personal things that kind of maybe no one else would know about, that's personally like what really fires me up. And I have personal goals that are specific to the local Worthing Calisthenics Park where I train at, which the way it's set up and the history I have with that park, that I would just like really love to break certain sets and achieve certain sets within that. That's what feels really, really special for me. Okay, so the overarching theme that I would like to leave you with on this video is that maybe you can have two sets of goals. Okay, you can have goals that are maybe more global innovation style, or maybe that's not even the case. I'm going to retract what I said. I think personal goals, unless you want to compete on a kind of world class, then there's a compromise between innovating on a global level, which is like doing the most amount of muscle ups in a certain time period or something like that, right? That will be very, very linear. And then there's personal innovation, which might not be recognised on a global level, but will mean the most to you and give you a sense of meaning in the most profound way when you personally achieve it, okay? And I think there's always a slight, these two goals are obviously both moving in the same direction of making you a better athlete, making you a better person through your training. Better person sounds so bloody self-help. I can't think of a better phrase to say though. Giving you a sense of meaning as you're doing it. Both can be fighting towards the same thing, roughly. But I find that personal innovation always takes over slightly, because that's what I most enjoy. If you said to me, like recently I did my first calisthenics competition, if you said to me, Lawrence, you will never compete in calisthenics again, I'd be like, that's fine, it's a shame, really enjoyed it, but okay, cool, I'm going to be quite happy down my local park, doing my thing, training towards the personal goals that I've set and kind of been focusing on for about the last year or so, that's fine. If you said to me you can only compete, which means doing more things that are on a globally recognised level, or on certain pull-up, muscle-up numbers and dips and pistol squats and those type of things, you can only do that and never train towards your own personal goals again, I would be really gutted, right? Even now, just saying that as an example, I'd be like, oh man, it's not even real, I'm just saying it for an example. So, in terms of goal setting, I don't want to essentially necessarily leave you with is every person should train to do 20 pull-ups and should be able to do at least 5 muscle-ups, because it's like, I'm not really sure those things feel particularly true as I say them, so I don't want to leave you with specific things like that, but more of a philosophy that you are going to have to figure out for yourself, because I think that will be where the most value comes from. Decide on what your own personal innovation means for you in terms of goals you would really like to set and achieve for yourself, whether that's a certain movement, whether that's a certain set at your local park or local gym, or certain mental battle you just think, Jesus Christ, I would really love to be able to achieve that. And then if there's something more global, whether it's like, hey, you know what, it would be pretty cool to just jump on the bar and do 10 muscle ups. Doesn't necessarily get me super fired up and think, wow, amazing, but hey, as a basic standard, it would be cool to be able to hang out with a whole bunch of different people. If I want to go and compete, or if I want to go to a park and train similar movements to everyone else is doing, I should probably be able to do, between 10 to 20 pull-ups fairly comfortably, do a few muscle-ups fairly comfortably, and not have my legs in utterly horrible shape as well. So, don't just get completely embarrassed in that fashion. Been there, done that. Train your legs, trust me. So I hope that's made some sense. I kind of did this video fairly in a freestyle sense, because I wanted to try and articulate what I was saying as I was saying it. Doing these videos helps me articulate my own thoughts. Having to explain it to someone else, all well and good if it's kind of stuck in your own head, but trying to explain it to an audience and have it make sense to an audience also helps it make better sense to me as well. Trust me to box up saying that as I'm talking about trying to make sense. So thank you very much, guys. I hope this has been helpful. Speak soon.